Yo, my name is Traitor, and as we enter the desert section, we're also entering the most technical stages for each of the gameplay types. That is, Hidden Base for mech, Pyramid Cave for speed, and Death Chamber for treasure hunting. Each of these stages can be considered a run killer in their own right, and mastering them will lead to a much easier time learning literally any other stage. In the desert stages, we'll be starting with Hidden Base, which you might enjoy because there are many different strats you can mix and match that will lead you to having a pretty personalized route. But for me, on the other hand, that's gonna be a lot of explaining to do, and it's going to be probably the most complex tutorial. That is until I get to the nightmare that Knuckles stages are. But don't worry, though I could talk about this stage for hours since it's my favorite stage, I did my best to condense this stage as much as possible. So, let's see the run. As soon as we spawn in and walk towards the square platform, take the right path as it's faster, and make sure to shoot the pole to avoid colliding with the hitbox. This section of walking on the fallen pillar is much more precise than it first appears. If you're unable to get the lock-ons while running, stand near the end of the pillar and lock onto the dynamite packs and then make the jump. We're getting to the first big divergence in routes, but before that, you'll notice that we stood on top of the pillar platforms without ever destroying the 3 dynamite packs that they have. It went by quickly, but I jumped on the cylinder, granting us enough height to get on top of them. Normally I'm all for runners testing out different strats and seeing what works for them, but I'll give you some advice. If you're having trouble making the cylinder jump, don't spend time working on pole hop at the moment. It's significantly more complex, so instead, if you want to push for a strat to learn, I would say GCS is perfect. So what is pole hop? Well, it's jumping off the collision of the pole to hover over a wall's collision, taking a much more direct path through the stage. There's the IL variant of pole hop, which requires you jump from the pillar platform, and then the non-IL version, which you do it from the door. The door is slightly easier since it's just a bit taller. From the pole, do another pause hover and aim for these corners. They don't have collision at this height, so don't stress about clipping them. This one does have collision, and you're just barely gonna get over it, hopefully. Personally, I take a route as direct as possible to eke out a few more tenths. Oh, and did I mention you're on a cycle? Yeah, you're on a cycle. If you don't get the pause hover off before 16.7, you're already taking a huge risk and probably going to die. What you'll want to do is take the path around the pole and pause hover from the leftmost corner of the platform. From here on, you'll glide and then aim the center of tails into the corner of the walls and clip through. You want as much height as you can get when first learning this strat because this is precise, and if you're holding the wrong angle, you're going to get dragged down before passing through the wall at all. The other route is the same thing but on the opposite side. Finally, there's axle jump, which is the closest to the casual route. Just jump over the door to clip in, then run the rest of the way until you can cut a corner by pause jumping over the fence. This honestly saves a surprising amount of time. Now, whichever route you choose other than pole hop, you'll all meet up on this fallen pillar. Grab the pulley and using its upward momentum, jump and hover to skip all the platforming that you'd have to do on the right side. While flying over, make sure to destroy the dynamite packs. Run onto this platform and perform another pause hover holding forward and then changing the analog angle as the camera changes. Until you pass this section, the camera will actually be locked, so after passing it, I tap the right camera trigger. While hovering to make it onto this low platform, I actually had quite a bit more height than necessary. If you're too low to make the height on the back of the platform, you're not gonna make it on the front side either. You might think it's closer, but if you so much as graze this black container, you're done. Going forward, there are two different routes starting from this pulley. You can continue normally, or you can go do a pause hover to the left and do this. And I'm gonna be honest, it's only for the best runners. It's so complex, I'm not going to teach it in this video. It was worth mentioning so you know it exists if you do want to look into it. Otherwise, continue as normal and do a pause hover over. If you get a good pause hover, which you'll know because Tails will almost bump his head on the ceiling here, continue forward. Otherwise, take the backup route by destroying the top cylinder, trying to land on this pulley platform. If you land on it or don't, in either case, try to spam B to destroy these doors. When bouncing off the spring, just after the apex of the bounce, you'll gain control of Tails. Personally, I then hover toward the door and start destroying it. I haven't mentioned this yet, but the doors have iframes, so spamming isn't ideal when super close. Instead, I try to shoot when grabbing rings 1, 2, and 4 in this line, but honestly, do whatever feels comfortable for you. If you can't deal with not landing on the elevated platform, then just land on it. It's more of a flex than a time saver if I'm being honest. Landing on this door, however, is not a flex. It will save a considerable amount of time over having to shoot and destroy the door and this giant block. Shoot to destroy this door, and if you're getting to the door too fast, do a small hop to slow Tails down a bit, because the worst thing you can do is bonk. While this pulley is pulling you up, hold directly down and jump and glide to the next. Break the box with a small jump, ideally the one to get to the first container. Break this door and then hug the left wall unless you're a fan of Pokeboy over here wasting your time. Pause hover over the wall with the keys, making sure to destroy them before you get to it, and then pause hover onto the dynamite platform, and then finally do a pause hover for a third and final time, going over the collision and doing all that just to skip this small corner. Even though it's a very small skip, it saves having to destroy all three of those doors and the dynamite, so it is faster to do. After breaking the door to the final path, you'll see this double height dynamite pillar. From the doorway, you'll be able to jump and lock onto ideally 3 packs. That will destroy the first layer early. If you don't get it, that's no big deal, but it does lose about 1.5 seconds. From there, the only thing to note is to start shooting from this vase to optimally destroy the door, and congratulations, that's all you need to learn. Honestly, this stage is already incredibly difficult for runners and you've got a lot to study, so I'm just going to try and make this section more readable. There's only a few checkpoints in Hidden Base to see your pace, and unlike most stages, you really don't need them since most of the time losses you do make will be incredibly obvious. So the checkpoint times that you want to get are 49 seconds for the first checkpoint, 107 on the second, and then you want to finish the stage 31.2 seconds after the second checkpoint. So 138.2 in this case. That being said, this is for the path you saw me take in the video. But if you're taking a different one, here are all the other strats, and here's how much you add on to the times. If you're someone that can get a time within even 5 seconds of the times I get for the desert stages, I guarantee you've got the skill to eventually get a 22. Anyway, with that being said, I hope your speedrunning goes well and have a good day.